All right, man. So my name is Nicholas Kirkove. I am the nutritionist over here at Total Health Chiropractic. Run a fat loss program, weight loss program, run a red light therapy program, blood labs analysis, all sorts of different things. Well, I think one just sounds a little bit more appropriate, honestly. That's why.
Oh, I love that. Keep going.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I guess if I'm talking to somebody, I always want to say weight loss for the most part, not fat loss. Otherwise, they get in this weird diet mind, and yeah, goes down that dirty trail of all sorts of fat loss products, things like that as well too. So I don't want them really thinking too much about. So I mean, I can tell you what my favorite part about it is, and that is that it deals with real food. So I mean, everyone does these programs where they send you basically prepackaged dog food. They have you eat that throughout the whole entire program. They send you all their protein powders and their protein bars, which you have to basically eat throughout the whole time. And then continue to purchase after, which to me, I don't feel like there's any longevity in that when you're talking about sustainable weight loss or just overall fitness goals. So what we do is, I mean, we incorporate real foods. You have to actually go to the grocery store. You have to cook it in your kitchen where 75% of health really happens, which is in the kitchen, which most Americans, just in general here in America, I feel like we've kind of lost touch with that.
Yeah.
And you can look at any other culture and realize how important like the kitchen is. I mean, if you look at like Italian culture or Hispanic cultures, things like that, where they are most of the time they're spending most of the time in the kitchen as families for the most part, and they're always cooking something. That's where they're breaking bread. They're always telling stories. And then here in America, where basically the TV dinner came out, and now we have a focus on easy processed food to make, things we can toss in a microwave and then just eat it in front of the TV. There's no longer even that human connection with families and stuff like that. So that's why I feel like a lot of that disconnect has come from. Getting people away from the dinner tables, really like fast food is a big one. Gas station food, Starbucks, everything's so easily
Yeah.
accessible. All processed food for the most part. So our program here is going to get you in the it's going to get you in the grocery store. A, get you in the kitchen. B, makes you cook your foods. You have to find out different recipes. You're eating very low glycemic, anti-inflammatory, but very nutrient dense food the whole entire time. You take very few supplements. I mean, two supplements about all you take throughout the whole entire thing, and they are all organic. They're going to be basically just amino acids, vitamins, minerals, cell salts, and then a few extra things to kind of help out with like cravings throughout the day as well. So on top of that, I mean, we incorporate 100 ounces of water, put a little bit of sea salt in the first one as well too. And then we get to learn as we go. So for those 6 weeks that I do this for, 6 to 8 weeks, I will meet with them once a week, but they have constant access to me throughout the whole entire thing, whether that's through text messages or through the portal in general. So they always have access to the nutritionist if they need help with anything. Um, but when we meet those once a week for those 6 to 8 weeks, I will measure everything. So I measure everything from chest to shoulders, biceps, calves, hips, and thighs and abdomen. So you get that once a week for that whole entire time. So you get to see exactly how far your inches have come. But we had used that once a week meeting also for just like learning new things, what we're going to do after the program as well too, things that we can incorporate, things that are going to help us kind of build health as we go. A
Yep.
lot of my clients have kids, families, so getting them involved into it is really big, especially the children. Um, I mean, as you can see, I'm sure most people do. I mean, children have become very obese, a lot more obese. The percentage of them most certainly has, especially over the past, 20, 25 years. It's not uncommon to see a 10 or 9, 10, 11-year old who's over 200 pounds. So to see that and just know that everything is so easily accessible to them. I mean, obviously, things like TikTok and social media have a big role in that. They're not moving nearly as much, but the food they eat's terrible. So if I can, teach the adults, teach the parents, teach the sisters, the aunts, anything like that, about getting in the kitchen, how important it is to be creating these meals and creating healthy food and healthy lifestyle, and it's going to trickle down because I mean, kids are very much monkey see, monkey do. I mean, shoot, adults are too, with that being said, but kids especially. So if they see you doing the right thing and they see you always doing it, and then it's normal for them, then that just kind of sinks into their life as well too, and it makes it much easier. So they don't have to be obese. They don't have to deal with a bunch of like health issues, and when they're way too young to be dealing with said health issues, or dealing with diabetes at way too young of an age, or having to worry about what their HbA1c number is when they're 12. That's a crazy thing to even have to think about as a 12-year-old. So really just trying to create a healthier society, and that this weight loss program does that. I mean, it does it the right way. And to me, that's the most important thing about it.
What was the reason you got involved in this work?
in nutrition in general, it's
Yeah.
the only thing. Nutrition is one of the only things in my entire life where I can almost like recall anything that I've learned about it on the spot a lot of the time. Kind of as if you were think about like a mathematician, how they just
Hmm.
know every single thing when you ask them. It's like they can pull from places, they can remember it, or like a historian, the same thing with them, they can pull all these places. I've never had that with anything but nutrition. I mean, nutrition is the one thing that's like somebody can ask me a question, and I can pull from like a professor 6 years ago, or a book that 6 years ago, or statistics from 6 years ago, without even thinking about it. It just kind of comes back to me. But I don't have that with anything else, and nutrition's always been that thing. So I ended up managing a vitamin world back when I was like 20. I went to college for nutrition, then went managed a vitamin world when I was 20, 21 years old, got certified through International Sports Science Association, got certified through American Fitness Professional Associates, and then also been certified through Vital Health Protocols for blood lab reading as well too. Next thing, man, it's just, setting up an appointment. Coming in, the first appointment is always free. So us sitting down talking for 30 to 40 minutes is always free. I'm not gonna charge you to come meet me. Just come in here, try to figure out where you're at with your health journey and everything like that. Understanding that you're not gonna get there overnight. So many people want that, they want that pill, or they want that instant gratification, which we do get in a lot of other things, and it's kind of spoiled us in a lot of different things that really matters, like your health. So um, coming in here, figuring out what your vulnerabilities are, right? And I use this phrase all the time. If you don't know what your vulnerabilities are, there's absolutely no way to grow. If I'm a 31-year-old nutritionist, and if I had chocolate chip cookies in my house every night, I would be eating chocolate chip cookies every single night, right? So it's like trying to figure out the things that are our Achilles heel, figuring out a game plan of what we're doing right now, and what we could add to it in small increments, and not try to change everything overnight. So
Yeah.
come in here, we'll try to work on many habits throughout the week. I'm never going to look at you and say, hey, let's lose these 50 pounds real soon, right? So I'm going to be like, let's look at these first 10 pounds, and then we'll worry about the 40 after that. So and just kind of doing it. One thing I found out very quickly in this profession is that to never give somebody more than they can bite off. If you give them more than they can bite off, they can chew, they will give up quickly. They will find every reason to stop doing what they're doing. They'll just think that they can't do it in general. So my goal with people, and the way I look at it, and the way I talk to them about stuff, is we're gonna have goals, and it's gonna be weekly goals, and we're gonna set those goals just above fingertip length, right? So it's gonna be you're gonna be able to obtain them, and then the next thing you know, you're gonna do it, change the goal up the next week, and you're gonna go up a little bit further and a little bit further, and 4, 5, 6 months later, you are a completely different person. You have different habits, and you did it slowly, and you incorporate them in a good way. But we would figure out basically foods that you like, foods that you can eat, that you still love, ways to make them healthier meals, figure out what your supplement regimen is. If there's blood work needed, we can also talk about doing some blood work as well too. But every single person is going to be a little bit different when it comes to everything. And just using that 45 minutes for our first initial consult to figure out what that might be, um,
Yeah.
is super crucial. So, I think getting to know your nutritionist and being able to get along with him and feeling like you can open up and be vulnerable is just as important as anything else. I couldn't imagine trying to go to a therapist and not being able to open up to him or be vulnerable to a therapist. It would be almost a waste. So same thing with nutrition. It's the most vulnerable thing in the entire world. You're talking about your weight. You're talking about how you look without clothes on. You're talking about how you want to look, where certain fats being held at. You gotta be willing to talk about that stuff, and be really vulnerable and open up to those types of things. So I try to pride myself off of that type of thing, being very human, understanding certain things. I've got a couple parents who have gone through some health things as well too. So just being able to listen to them. The thing is, I don't want to meet you halfway, and I tell a lot of
Yeah.
people that if I tell you what you want to hear, you will have zero growth in that. And if you don't want to hear that, then maybe we're not good together. And that's totally fine. You can find somebody else that I'm sure will be great. But there's just no compromising when you want to change your life and you really want to, progress and be the best version of yourself and actually be healthy. And in the long run, when you think about it, save your life. Live longer, even if it's not for you anymore. It could be for your grandchildren. It could be for your children. Because when you're gone, if you pass away, you don't know. You're the person
Hmm.
who's gone. You leave a bunch of people in the wake who misses you. So that's kind of the really, really big thing that I try to focus on and really hammer home with people, and it's still need to be selfish. It can be selfless at the same time. Like I said, you're gonna be passing on these habits to children and nieces and nephews and things like that as well too. So it's bigger than just the person, and to get them to understand that usually helps out a lot.